everyone, Jason here, host of the BombCast, and man, do we have an incredible episode for you. Thanks for being on. Everybody that's joined us, drop us a comment below. Let us know who you are, where you're watching from. And as always, the benefit of getting to join us live on the show is being able to ask questions of our guests. And today's guest is unlike anyone else we've ever had on this show, CEO and founder of Selling Power, Gerhard. And I have Steve Passanelli, our CMO, along with us. So Steve, why don't you go ahead and introduce Gerhard, and then we'll let him say hello to everyone.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Gerhard needs an introduction. I mean, he is the CEO and founder of Selling Power magazine. If you've been in sales for any period of time whatsoever, you've heard of Selling Power. You've seen the covers from yesteryear. You see the digital versions of it now. I mean, it's just amazing to have someone on the show with so much tenure and deep knowledge of the sales process. So say hi to everybody, Gerhard.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I want to hear some good questions, not average questions, really good questions.
Yeah, and so this is what we really want to get into. We want to tap into the knowledge of Gerhard, and rather than just getting right into video, Jason and I talked about this a few minutes ago, and the BombCast, of course, is all about video. We are going to talk about video, but because of the guest and who we have on here, it would do us a disservice really just to get right in it with video, because he does offer a wealth of information. And so, Gerhard, my first question, and I want to explain, and hopefully we still have him. I think Gerhard's frozen on my screen.
Yeah.
I want to explain.
I'm here.
Oh yeah, I got you. You're back now. I want to explain how we met actually, but before we do that, let's go back in time. You've been selling for a very, very long time. What are the technological milestones? We're going to talk about video being a technological milestone today. We're going to go over how you use video to connect with people and how inside sales can use video. But throughout the past 3 decades, have there been any other technological milestones that have changed the way that we sell?
Oh, absolutely. When I first started the magazine in 1981, salespeople had 3x5 cards that they're stored in the shoebox. And then by 85 or 87 came ACT software or Goldmine software. Mm-hmm. And Telemagic was one of the first where we wrote a story about them. And I remember Michael McCafferty was the founder, and he says, just imagine if you had a software where you can push a button and it makes a phone call for you. And in those days, there were not even cell phones. It was very archaic, and nothing was online. It was not a SaaS-based product. So CM then moved online with Mark Benioff, coming up with the idea of a SaaS-based CRM model. And I remember sitting in Monterey and having dinner with Mark Benioff, and I said, how do you think you're going to succeed with a SaaS-based model? Because everybody's on premise. And at that time, ACT had Interact, and they had 10,000 customers for an online CRM service, and they shut it down. Oracle came up with Sales.com, and there was another milestone where they said, this is going to be an online CRM solution. And then they realized that the online solution is cannibalizing their on-premise solution. So they shut it down. And I said, Mark, what do you think you're going to do with the 2 companies that shut down already? What makes you think you can succeed with this idea? And he says, I'll do it with marketing. And then I asked him, what's your vision for your company 10 years from now? And he says, I want to build $1 billion company within the next 10 years. And he did it in 7.
Wow. Wow. So CRM basically right. is one of the biggest things. It's funny.
Changed everything.
Yeah, it absolutely did. You mentioned Mark Benioff, and I know you have relationships with a lot of other very famous people. You've interviewed famous people for the magazine. Besides Mark Benioff, because that one, I mean, that could answer this question right here. Who did you interview or did you have a conversation with that you got really giddy? Like you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to
Well,
this.
I think one of the giddiest moments was to get Malcolm Forbes into an interview with him for the magazine. That's it was so strange because I always think about the interviewee as a customer. So I always wrote letters about their lives and how their insights could be beneficial for salespeople. Because the purpose of Selling Power Magazine is to help salespeople think outside the box and think like a CEO or think like an entrepreneur. And I wrote Malcolm Forbes a quick letter and said, here's what I learned about you, and here's how you treat your customers. And I'm so impressed because in New York City, he had a special room where he invited CEOs for lunch and had lunch and conversation with them. He took them out on a yacht, on his Forbes yacht, and he sold a lot of advertising that way. And everybody who came got an engraved beer stein from him that they could take home. And so I had a really good letter, and I didn't expect a response. I usually, to get a cover story, I had to ask like 6 or 7, executives to do an interview, and usually one came through. So I sent out this letter on a Monday by mail, and on Wednesday I got a phone call, and my secretary said at the time, Malcolm Forbes is on the line. I said, who? So he called me, and he says, I was really impressed with that letter. I'd be happy to do an interview with you. And I said, when would it be convenient? And he says, how about now? And so I had a tape recorder connected to my phone. I said, do you mind if I record it? He said, go ahead. And we had a delightful 1-hour conversation. And I was giddy because it was so easy. It was the easiest interview. And it was very clear. He had a lot of good ideas. And then I sent him the edited transcript, and I said, just for verification that I got everything right. And he says, no worries, no changes. So we printed the cover story the next month. A month later, he reprinted the entire cover story word for word in Forbes magazine.
Oh, that is awesome. And that basically all stemmed from a personal letter.
Exactly.
Like reaching out in a different, more human way. And that's like, funny, you mentioned Salesforce and when that started taking off, that's also the beginning of the digital disconnect, right? Where we started moving most of our conversations and our sales conversations to a medium that doesn't allow you to truly exude who you are as a person and connect with people on an emotional level. Right. And it started just moving further and further and further in that direction. Your letter is what... Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. But then it shifted towards inside sales, where you had automatic dialers, you had salespeople on the inside that had quotas of $700,000 or $1 million. And that shift from shiny shoes to inside sales took place in a period of about 7 or 8 years. And now inside sales is still growing, but there's something magical happen with inside sales. I had this conversation last week with Kyle Porter, the CEO of SalesLoft. And he says, I was saying in my company that face-to-face is the new inside sales, which is awesome because there's so much video technology available that allows salespeople to humanize selling again.
Yeah, and it's funny when a sales manager or a VP interviews a salesperson, they speak to them face to face. Maybe they did the old school, sell me this pen, and everything is face to face. No one ever says, hey, sit down and turn around and type me a 3-series email campaign and let me know, and sell me. That never happens. But then that's what they're sent out in the world to do, but they're good at face to face. And so, well, that brings you right into our video story. And you sent me a video, and I was giddy, just like,
Well, the thing is, I sent you a video because you did not respond to my email. I sent you my first email. And I thought, how do I get into his heart and mind So I downloaded BombBomb and I recorded what, a 37-second video?
Yeah,
and you responded with a video the next day.
Yeah, it was less than a minute. And to my defense, I didn't see, so, and I skimmed it. I saw a very long email and I thought, oh my, and I didn't even really read it. You know, I had 100 and some emails on my screen and it didn't even register. But when you sent the video and I saw your smiling face and I have it right here. There's one, let me share my screen. There was one sentence underneath. And this speaks to like, this is prospecting.
Well, and this is, yeah, and just to quickly jump in, and everybody that just jumped on, thank you guys for sitting down, interviewing Gerhard, CEO of Selling Power Magazine, along with Steve Passanelli. If you guys have questions, please drop them below. We're talking about how video is becoming this process. And so, you know, what you guys now see on the screen is the first video that Steve got from Gerhard. So tee this up again, Steve, a little bit.
Yeah, so as Gerhard just mentioned, I missed the previous email. It was text and outlined the opportunity, but I just missed it. I skimmed it, and then I got this. And when you see someone's smiling face, it's so much harder to say no. We don't have to play the whole video, but I'm just going to play the beginning here so everyone can hear it.
Hey Steve, this is Gerhard Gschwandtner with Selling Power Magazine, and we host the Sales 3.0 conference in Las Vegas. And I sent you an email with an idea to work together on a special award where we give salespeople or sales leaders.
And so he's talking about a special award, and we do the real estate video influencers, the mortgage video influencers. And when I heard that, and we were in such alignment in awarding people that are using video effectively in their business, I don't even think I played the entire thing. I think I just emailed you back right away.
Right. It's really magical. How long is that video? What, 37 seconds?
I think it said 53 seconds.
Yeah, less than a minute.
Yeah.
Right. And you cut it off in the middle and say, well, let's talk.
Yeah. Yeah, and I sent a video directly back. I want to go back, and Jason, I don't want to bogart all the questions just because
you're good. Keep going.
But face-to-face is the new, inside sales. Can you expand upon that a little bit more, Gerhard?
Well, I think that everybody realizes that email, like you get scared when you see a long email and you ignore it. It glosses over. I think email is becoming the new Twitter. And the communication that we are used to by exchanging letters and emails is going to move towards video. That's my prediction.
I think there's one fundamental thing that people need to overcome when sending emails. And really, I think that this is paramount beyond anything else. And it is somehow conveying to the recipient that this is a personal message. Because all the automation, all the systems out there, the ABM programs and everything else. And to your point, we get dripped on left and right. I mean, it's not a drip, it's a waterfall, hitting us in the head. And we're really good at deciphering marketing messages from personal communication in general. How does someone figure out what's personal in email? And that's where video comes into play. When I see your bookshelf in the background of your video, and it's not maybe a production studio or a green screen. This is you in a personal piece of communication.
So I want to share with your audience what I learned in communicating with you, which I think it's important to realize that a lot of people are hesitant when it comes to video. They don't want to expose their chest to daggers. They don't want to expose themselves to criticism. And what I learned from you is that you taught me that I'm okay the way I am. And I do not have to put on a face or a mask, or you taught me to be human. And I remember when I saw in DC and you gave a presentation, how engaging it was. And I think being authentic, and even when you lose your thought, as you speak, or if you mispronounce a word. That's okay, because you are human, and people buy humanity and not something that's prefabricated, that's automated, that is sort of put into, where you recently I got an email from a bot, and I did not know it was a bot. So there's so much fakeness out there, and video restores that authentic connection. So don't be afraid of being who you are.
Yeah. Now, I've noticed you've been sending videos, Gerhard. Why don't you tell us about the types of videos? Because you not only are the CEO and founder of Selling Power Magazine, but you run a conference, the Sales 3.0 conference, which is an amazing sales conference in Las Vegas. And of course, it has all the good things that conferences have. There's vendors there. There's a phenomenal lineup of speakers, by the way. And you're reaching out to these people through video. What types of tips can you give other salespeople that are maybe trying to acquire a vendor for a conference, or get someone to work for them or speak for them, or simply just make a connection?
Well, the first thing is smile. There's a Chinese proverb: if you cannot smile, you shouldn't open the store.
That's good.
I remember, I want to go back to Mark Benioff when he and I did the first webinar ever for Salesforce.com on One Market Street in San Francisco. And he was still a behind the desk leader, but then he was later on, as he went public, he became a public person, and he got media training. And I watched him, the first video interview he gave, he was smiling and constantly nodding his head. And I watched his body language. He got media training, and then saying, "That's a good question," and before he gave the answer. So when you start a video, start with something that's human. And think creatively. You may strike a match and hold it up and say, "I have a bright idea. I want to share something."
Oh, that's a good one. I've not seen that done before. So anyone watching, you guys should be the first.
So I'll give you an example. My friend Eli Cohen is the CEO of SalesHood, and he sent me his new book, and he was very excited. And it was an advanced copy. And so I went to a magic store, and I got a book that when you open it, you click, and you put some gasoline inside, and then it starts to flame. So as you open the book, there are flames coming out of the book. So I took his book, I cut his cover off, put his cover on that fake book, just got Eli Cohen's book and showed it. And then I said, "It's so hot." And I opened it up, and then flames came up.
You can't do that in text.
You can't do that in text. No, you cannot.
Right. And I posted it on LinkedIn, and within 2 days, it got 12,000 views.
Wow.
Right.
It's creativity. I mean, that's the creativity. That's why salespeople are the great salespeople. That's why they're great, because they're persistent and they're creative. Right. And you tied in the cover of his book into the magic trick and the gasoline. I don't know if by the way, BombBomb doesn't recommend putting gasoline in books. Just out there.
So one of the things I'm curious about, Gerhard, and then let's transition to the sales awards and our nominations and some of the things that we're looking at, and dive into that a little bit.
Right.
But when you think about your years of experience and the conversations you've had and the interviews you've done and helping sales professionals continue to get better, when you think about the principles, what are some of those top principles that you now really see coming back around because of the availability of video?
I think that we are in a time where technology is pushing us in a direction where we risk becoming human doings. And we forget that we are human beings. And the other phenomenon with the digital era is that, we swipe and we search and we do all kinds of things that bring us to a new screen. And what we need to be mindful of is that when we interact with a customer, we cannot focus on the past. We cannot be preoccupied with what happened 5 minutes ago or 5 hours ago. We cannot be worried what's going to happen 5 minutes from now or 5 hours or 5 days from now. We got to stay here in the present moment. And being present means that we give a gift to the customer, the gift of attention, the gift of listening, of sensing, of interpreting, of responding, and being responsible, being trustworthy. So that is what salespeople need to learn. And by engaging with customers through video, they can work on the foundation, on the platform of science, which is technology, and revive the art of selling.
If you didn't give that a like, everybody watching on Facebook Live right now, smash on that like and that heart button on there, because that's just a great question, by the way, Jason. And
thank you.
Fantastic answer. Yeah, let's transition. Oh, go ahead, Gerhard.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Let me scroll through that. Let's go through and talk a little bit about what we have coming up in the project we've been working on.
Yeah. So while Jason looks at the questions there, sometimes the feed can go rather fast on the Facebook live feed. But if you've been following the BombCast at all, you know that we've done the real estate video influencers, and we're about to come out with the next version of the real estate video influencers. And we have the mortgage video influencers. And when Gerhard reached out with the opportunity and the ability to team up with him and his companies to do the sales video influencers, we thought we had everything that we needed to move forward in a much bigger space. Because we were nervous to do the sales video influencers. It's a real estate and mortgage. That's our niche. We've been in that business, both of those businesses for so long, and now we're moving forward with sales. Now, Gerhard, you came up with we were on a call together, but you kind of drove the categories here of prospecting and branding, and then appointment setting and confirmation for the second category, customer education and training. Then we have retention and referral for the fourth category. And then we have internal videos like culture and motivation for the fifth. Do you want to speak to the different categories and the types of nominations that we're getting? And I don't know, have you looked through the nominations yet?
I have looked through the nomination. I'm blown away with some of the creative videos that people have done. I would say in general, there's a trend that shorter videos have more impact and get more attention. I had a number of conversations this week with sales enablement managers. I just attended the Sales Enablement Society conference in Denver. And I've seen a lot of videos. I've also created a lot of videos during the conference. But I invite anybody who has a sales video to submit their video, because if you don't submit it, you deprive yourself of a chance of winning. And here's the spirit of this Sales Video Award, which is we want to honor salespeople or organizations that make a living through sales to submit their work of art. It's really an art to create a video, but also it comes from the heart because we rehumanize selling with video. So we want to see them, and we have a panel of judges, and we select 15 nominations out of the hundreds of submissions, and all 15 that are at the top, they will get free ticket to Sales 3.0, which is a $985 ticket. You get it for free. And during the conference, we will come up with the 5 winners plus an audience vote.
And we just put that link in.
Go ahead.
We just put that link in the feed there. So anybody that wants to check it out, they can click through and see what that is. So Dave was curious about that, see the entries and winners. We'll be doing a recap of once all the winners are there. We'll be able to, you guys will be able to get some insights, some key learnings as we go through this process. Gerhard, I'm curious, as you are just starting to kind of start your own video journey over the last a little bit, and kind of just this idea of starting with a smile. But I'm curious, what are some of the things that you've learned around how to be effective in selling through video? What have you had to do to kind of become comfortable with this medium?
Well, my saying is you need to be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, or you're not growing. Your personal growth comes from pushing through that discomfort. And there are a million excuses. You know, everybody has an inner critic that you need to transform into an inner champion. So by declaring, I'm going to use video now, then you are going to engage in a chain of action. And you may want to start out with just recording some videos on your iPhone and message them to your customer. That's one idea. Another idea is to invest in a cheap camera and a little tripod and put it on your desk and have good lighting, and then send that video to your customer. Or if you are more adventuresome, and you use a Mac, use iMovie, and then you create a little header or get a little music, and there's so many tools that you can benefit from. I would also encourage you to watch video vloggers like Casey Neistat. He has 10 million subscribers to his YouTube channel, and every time he releases a new video, he gets over 1 million viewers, and this is more than what CBS or ABC is getting. And he is just one guy, but he sends out a video 3 times a week. So I would, I've started my own YouTube channel about 6 or 7 years ago, and I give you an example. I did an interview at a university, and I was participating in a sales and marketing conference in a little Sony camera, RX 100, and it's a beautiful camera. Put it on a little tripod, and I interviewed Robert Cialdini, who is the author of the book Persuasion.
Hero,
my favorite.
Right.
Yeah,
and we did it, in a university room, conference room, and I got over the last 4 years about 71,000 views on that video. And then HubSpot picked it up and voted it one of the top 15 sales training videos. And it was about 6 months ago. And now I have over 120,000 views.
I want to point out to everybody listening on the show here today that if you nominate yourself or someone that you know for the Sales Video Awards, you're not going up against Gerhard. He can't win any of the. So
no matter how many times you nominate yourself, Gerhard, we're watching.
The flaming book.
Yeah,
you don't have to compete. Go ahead.
I'm having, I'm using synonyms, and I sent my submission from Nigeria.
Kristen is curious, Gerhard, what's the name of your YouTube channel for people to go and see what you're putting out?
Well, I have several YouTube channels selling. If you go on YouTube and type in Gerhard Gschwandtner, which is a mouthful, and only I can pronounce that name, so it's a difficult spelling. Gschwandtner. So there are only 2 vowels, and I'd like to buy a vowel now. And the other one is, selling power, and search for selling power. But also I have a Mindset Science Productions, a number of videos on the mindset. And then also I have a sales enablement best practices channel.
Yeah, so you don't believe in video at all, no.
No, I think it's, I'm really thinking 3 or 5 years ahead when BombBomb is going to release the, and I don't know whether it's on the product development list, but holograms is probably going to be next. So
Probably. Well, we did about a half hour here, Jason.
Yeah.
Do you have one last question before we close this down? We want to be respectful because we know.
Well, I want to say one more thing.
Go
that
ahead.
when you come to Sales 3.0 in Las Vegas, you're going to see a hologram of Zig Ziglar live on stage. So we have Tom Ziglar, who is Zig Ziglar's son, doing a keynote. But doing the keynote, we import technology from Toronto. And you've probably never seen this before live, but you're going to have Zig Ziglar on stage in a holographic form, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah, so 2 ways to get there. One, submit your video for the contest and win if you're feeling strong about your video. Or two, did we put in the link to?
We did. Yep.
Okay, good. So we have the link in there. So make sure we can pop it in there again. Check out the conference. I was blown away by the speaker lineup. I mean, I can't wait to go and sit down and bring my notebooks and take a lot of notes, myself. So.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a lot of videos in the conference.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. So I think the last question, Gerhard, and just as we come in closing, I think something that you touched on that was really great is this idea of the mindset and coming to this place where part of becoming comfortable on camera is actually not just the technical piece, but it's actually the mindset. Do you have any practices or advice beyond just the simple get over yourself and shoot a video that people could begin putting into practice that would help them in their mindset to really get ready and sell through video?
Well, you were modeling this, Jason, in the beginning because you had a very high energy, a lot of great gestures opening. And one of the things that I do, and I know that Steve is doing the same thing, you got to go and change your physiology so you change your psychology. Think about Tony Robbins, what he's doing before he goes on stage. He has a trampoline in the back and he jumps up and down on the trampoline and he gets his energy flowing, gets his blood flowing, and then he goes out and smiles and he's ready. So you want to get yourself ready. You can also stand up and raise your arms above your head in the victory position and assume that position for about 2 minutes, and your adrenaline is up, your energy is up, your hormones are already say go.
Yeah, power posing. It's power posing.
Yes,
buddy.
Steve, you were standing. You have more energy. You have a high. I'm in a hotel in Denver, so I can't stand up because I don't know.
Awesome. Absolutely fantastic advice. And thank you for taking your time today to join us, jumping from one meeting to the other, giving us 30 minutes. It's been extremely valuable for our audience. We're getting feedback from a lot of people who are saying it's been a fantastic bombcast, great ideas, very applicable. So thank you for your time and joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All righty. We'll see you guys next week. We have Kelly LeClaire on our next episode, real estate video influencer out of Southern California, who has absolutely just been crushing her video game for years. Someone that will actually be a speaker at Rehumanize as that comes up in May. So you're not going to want to miss next week. We'll see you guys at the same place. Different time. We'll be back to our normal time of 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys later.
See you, everybody.